Good morning. So it's Monday, right? And what happens on Monday? It's the beginning of a brand new week. The beginning of putting your best foot forward for whatever it is you have going on. It might not have, if you're a mom, it's probably not the beginning of a brand new week. It's probably just a continuation from yesterday. But that's great, right? And you get a new start today. Whatever you went to bed feeling bad about last night, look, just take heart. If you're mom and you or dad and you went to bed feeling last night like whatever you did was a complete and total failure during the day, understand that you are trying your absolute best every single day to parent. And parenting is tough. It's not an easy thing to do. And so, that being said, if you're trying your best every single day, giving your kids what they need, you're doing great. You're doing great. You're a great parent, great grandparent, great whoever, whatever kind of parent, grandparent you are amazing. Don't beat yourself up. It takes consistency. It takes time. I'm preaching to the choir because I'm looking right at myself. So, okay. All right. Today I read Psalm 26, part 3. I'm still not really sure what, I think maybe my foot stands on level ground. In assemblies I will bless the Lord. But I'm just not sure. I'm not really certain what that means yet. And so, when I read something in the Bible and I don't understand it, I ask, God, what does this mean for me? And what do I need to learn from this? And something that I have noticed is sometimes it's not that day that I'm going to learn whatever it is. Sometimes I will ask God a question and all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, but at some point, a show will catch my eye on TV. Like that's happened to me several times where I've asked about the history of something, or even when I've been doubting. Even when I've doubted and said, how do I know that you were actually real? I mean, obviously that's been proven that he's real, but at that point in my life, that's where I was. And the next thing you know, it's on TV, the actual proof that Jesus lived and how it's been proven that he lived. Or I find a book that I'm meant to read, which is hard to do as a mom, but I find a book that I'm meant to read that sheds light on the thing. See, let me tell you what happened to me one time. I went to Bible study. We were going to Bible school, had all my kids. Got there one day, the nursery wasn't open. And I was really dependent on this Bible study just for my own psyche. It was really something that was allowing me to deal with motherhood in a better, more patient way. It was about, the Bible study was about Jesus' mother, Mary, okay? And so I got there and the nursery wasn't open, which means I couldn't go. I got all my kids ready, got all the way there, was so excited. No nursery, no call, no nothing. And I cried because it was a day where we were going to learn about the story of Fatima. And I had never heard that. I did not know what had happened there, but I had heard of it and I wanted to know and I wanted to understand it. And so I cried. I cried all the way home. I cried all the way home. I cried when I got home. I called my husband and crying. I was really upset that I missed out on this. And one night we're putting our kids to bed. And this is so random. I love how this happens. This is so random. And I told God I was upset, and he knew it. And one night I'm at home, and we're putting our kids to bed, and my aunt, or my husband's aunt, sends us a lot of books, literature, to read about all the things Catholic. And so I'm sitting on my son's bed. We're getting ready to say our prayers. And all of a sudden, something happens and this book falls right into my lap, literally. And I look down at it, and it is the story of Fatima. And I think my mouth just dropped open for 5 minutes. because here I was, and I don't remember how long after this it was, but here I was wondering or upset about this, not being able to learn it, not being able to see it, not being able to do it, at that moment. But here's this book about the exact thing that I wanted to learn about. So my moral here for you is, when you ask God something, He's going to give you the answer. Okay? He's going to give you the answer when your heart is open, when you are ready for the answer. Maybe it's not something you're meant to learn right now, but maybe it's something that you are meant to learn eventually. And look, if you ask God for an answer and He gives you an answer that you don't necessarily want, you still asked. And if that's His answer, you still got to walk with it, right? There's a lot of times we ask God things. We ask Him for things, or we ask Him about things, or we ask Him what we should do here, or we feel in our gut like something isn't right. Maybe we don't feel like we're doing the right thing, but this is what we want to do. But we're not sure if it's meant to be what He wants us to do. And so then we ask Him and He tells us it's not. And then it's like, oh, well, now I got to turn around and go back. I got to turn around and get back on the path, right? So be prepared. That's going to happen. But you will grow if you listen. If you don't listen, you will go back to worldly things. And it'll just be that much harder to get on the path next time. Okay? So, all right. Now here's what I want to tell you. Oh. I forgot all my housekeeping stuff. I don't even know if I should say all that anymore, but I'm just... Hi, Diane. If you're watching this on YouTube, all of my videos are uploaded to YouTube, just so you don't have to scroll on Facebook and find them. If you would like, you can go to my link in the bio and you'll find my YouTube, and you can watch the other videos. If you do watch them, please subscribe, comment, like on here. Comment, like, share, all the things. Because that helps other people know that you find content valuable. Do that for any person that you watch that you think gives valuable content to your life, because that means it probably gives valuable content to somebody else's life. And I know sometimes it's hard to think about pushing the share button or pushing the like button or commenting. Maybe you want to be in the dark because you don't want to comment. You don't want people to know that you've watched this. Or you have something that's niggling at your heart and you don't want to tell it yet. And that's okay. But giving it a heart or any of that kind of stuff, that can really help other people too. Even if you are in a state of, I don't know, still heart's good, okay? You can link in the bio for my podcast too. Okay. All right. So today, I'm really excited to talk about this because I talk about this a lot anyway. And so, I just want to tell you, all things really are possible for you. All of them. All of the things that you dream about, that you want in your life, they really are possible for you. You just have to trust. Peter walked on water. He starts off fine. Then he begins to sink. And God asks him, why did you doubt? That's Mark 14:31, verse 31. Why did you doubt? Who did he doubt? Did he doubt himself? Or did he doubt Jesus? I'll tell you what he did. He took his eyes off of Jesus and looked at the storm, and that's what we do a lot. Even when we are doing what we are supposed to, what the Lord has called us to do, we're walking down our path, everything's going great, and then all of a sudden there's an obstacle and it causes a storm in our life, and we take our eyes off of Jesus and we stare at that storm. And man, that storm looks big, and man, it looks ugly, and then all of a sudden we don't know how we're going to deal with it. Did you hear that? All of a sudden we don't know how we are going to deal with it. Are you meant to deal with it? Are you meant to deal with it alone? Or can we do all things through Christ who strengthens us? You are not meant to deal with it alone. But our eyes, they go on the storm. And then we say, Jesus, why is this storm here? What is happening? I'm walking the path that you gave me. I'm sorry, my nose is itching. This is dang allergies. Lord, you gave me this path. Why did you give me this path if this storm is going to come and stop me? What is happening? How am I going to get through this? Maybe this isn't my path. You hear the doubt? You hear the doubt where it comes? Right there. Right there. All of a sudden, here's the storm. Oh my gosh, it's this obstacle. Maybe this wasn't meant for me. And we turn around. Or we sit down and stay where we are on the couch in the middle of the storm. And we don't move. And we don't walk our path any further. And we don't get up maybe for who knows how long later. Because we feel like we're the ones that are supposed to do the storm. We're the ones that are supposed to sit in the storm by ourselves. We're the ones that are supposed to handle it. But we're not. Christ is right there. He already knows. Don't take your eyes off of him. And when I say that, I mean read the Bible. I mean watch something every single day that teaches you more about him, that helps you learn about him, that gives you encouragement, that helps uplift you. Because if you stop, that storm invades your mind and you sink. You think you're the one that has to be strong, and you sink and you stop and you don't do the things that you are meant to do, and you don't walk the path that you are meant to walk. And why do we doubt? Is it because he's not right in front of us and he hasn't said the words, this is what you're supposed to be doing in your life, but you have felt it in your heart? But sometimes your heart, is my heart right? Your brain starts to question, is my heart right? Does my heart really give me good advice? You know that overthinking thing up here that can take you through your humanness right into the storm and can keep you there? That thing right there starts to question this thing right here. And this is where Jesus lives. This is where the strongest part of your body is, right here. But yet we listen the most to this. Why? Because he's not right in front of us. Look, if my husband leaves the room to go and deal with my children, to go and love my children, to go and do whatever with my children, I trust that he's going to do the right thing, even when I cannot see him. When my husband goes to work every day, I trust that he's going to do the right thing, even when I cannot see him. Why do I trust him? Because I love him. Because I know him. Why don't I give that same grace to God? And you can apply that to anybody in your family. Any person in your family you can apply that to. Why? Why do you trust them but not God? God says he will give you all things. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Every single one of the things. But doubt happens because this right here wants to throw you off. It doesn't want you to ride or walk the path with Jesus. It wants the obstacles to stop you, but you have to grow through them. And when the storms come, and they do come, you have to keep your eyes on Jesus. When you find yourself saying things like, oh my gosh, how am I going to deal with this? Oh my gosh, am I supposed to be here? Is this the right path for me? Am I sure? Maybe this is the sign that says it's not. When the storms come, you have to remember that your eyes should stay on Christ, and he will lead you through them. And the more your eyes stay on Christ, the more you will be grateful for the storm, because you will know that you are growing in him. And that's what I said. You will be grateful for the storm. You will start to rejoice in the storms. You might not think that. You might be like, no, why would I rejoice? It's a storm. It's a valley. It's in the middle. It's in the pits. It's terrible. It's hard. I don't want to be here. I don't like it. Why would I rejoice in this? Because that means that you are growing. Yeah, you have to get through it. No, we don't know where it comes from. You know, people will say, well, why does God give this? And why does God give that? And why does God do this? Look, there's free will all over the place. Look, Satan has done his best to make sure that it looks like God is doing this to you. Well, if God existed, this wouldn't happen. Oh my gosh. Look, God gave us free will. Humans make decisions. Humans make bad decisions. We all do that. Every day, we might make a bad decision, right? And it could affect somebody else's life somehow, some way, somewhere. And yeah, it's hard. And yeah, it sucks that we are affected by somebody else's decision. And maybe that causes some kind of storm in our life. But stop blaming God. It's not his fault. We have free will. We have Satan, who is running around doing his best to try to pull all the souls to him All of them. He wants them. He wants them to be there with him. He wants you to be in agony and misery the rest of your entire life. So let me ask you a question. If you are in comfort here on this earth, in comfort all the time, because Satan has taken you down this path and you are happy about that, but then when you die, you are in agony the rest of your, whatever that word is, not going to be time, but the rest of wherever your soul rests, you're going to be in agony that entire time. Is that a good trade-off? Would you rather be comfortable here forever, or not ever, be comfortable here for the time of your life, or be in agony forever? Because you allowed a storm to stop you. Because you doubted. Because you didn't trust. Look, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not telling you it is. I'll never say that. And you can look at me and say, well, she says this is easy, but it's really not. It's not. Hear me. If something about this pricks your pride right now and you're like, I'm not listening to this anymore because she sounds like she's saying this is an easy thing to do. No. I mean, that's probably Satan trying to keep you away from the message of whatever you're supposed to get here. So just realize that. You're welcome to go away from it, but come back later. Okay? Take your temperature. Figure out why Satan is trying to keep you from this message. And that goes with any message you listen to by anybody that is encouraging, uplifting, and talking about Christ. Because the moment that your inclination is, I don't like this anymore, I'm turning it off, what thing has been pricked inside your body, inside your heart, inside your head? What has been pricked? What little piece of consciousness has been pricked that says, I don't like this anymore because maybe it's a little bit too close to home. So I need to get away. Grow through it. Grow through it. Do you think, in fact, you know Moses, right? If you don't know Moses, you should look Moses up, okay? Moses said to God, suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you, and they ask me, what is his name? Then what shall I tell them? God said to Moses, I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites. I am has sent me to you. Exodus 3:12 through 13. Moses, the one who led the Israelites out of Egypt and trusted God enough to part the Red Sea, didn't want to do it. He was afraid. He did not know what to do. He did not know that he could do this. But he did it anyway because he did it through Christ who strengthened him. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and began to sink. Cried out, Lord, save me. Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. You of little faith, he said, why did you doubt? Matthew 14, verses 29 through 34. Think about those two people. Moses led God's people out of Egypt on the way to the promised land. This is a man who went through the Red Sea, went through all of the plagues, did all of these things, stood up to the Pharaoh. But before that, he was afraid. He didn't think he could do it. Peter, on whom the church is built, he is the rock. He denied Christ 3 times. He is one of the closest disciples to Jesus. And he got out of the boat, could see Jesus in front of him, and still looked at the storm. What hope do we have? He still looked at the storm. Jesus is standing right there. So you can't use the argument. I can't use the argument. If Jesus is standing right here in front of me, I will do better. Because see, it's not about him standing right there in front of you. That is not what gives you faith. That is not what gives you trust. Oh, please. I can look at somebody standing right in front of me and still not trust them, and still not have faith in them. The same can be said about Jesus. Peter had faith. Peter trusted, but he still looked at the storm. He still doubted in a moment. We are human and we err. But we have to remember to keep our eyes on Jesus. To keep our heart on Jesus, and to not let this throw us out the door. Not let this part of us take us off the path. Because see, even if Jesus is standing right in front of us, if you are determined not to believe in yourself and not to believe in him, then you are not going to do it. So he knows. He knows that. I mean, he's there. He's here. You can feel him. You can hear him. Is it always going to work? Not work. Are you always going to do it? Or are you always going to keep your eyes on Christ? No. We're going to forget. We're going to look at the storm. The storm's going to look scary. It's going to look hard. It's going to be hard. But then do you notice that Peter cries out to the Lord and he says, Lord, please save me. And God reaches his hand down. Jesus reaches his hand down and says, why did you doubt? But he reaches his hand down and he pulls him out. So if we get off the path, if we walk the wrong way, do we cry out and ask for Jesus to save us? Will he do it? Yes. Will he bring you back to the path, to him, through him? Yes. Will he continue to walk with you even if you don't ask? Yes. Is he always there? Yes. Even if you feel like you can't ask for help, even if you feel like you've gotten too far off the path, even if you feel like you've done something awful or whatever, you're too far away from him now, is he still with you? Yes. All you have to do is turn around and look at him and cry out and ask him for his help. Even if Peter, the closest disciple, had doubts and Jesus is right in front of him, we know it's going to happen to us too. But God has given you this path. He has put you here on it for a reason. You have to stare and stay with him. Pray. Read your Bible. Listen to uplifting and encouraging things that help you to learn about him every single day. Remember, it only takes faith as small as a mustard seed. There is nothing God can't do through a heart fully surrendered to him. Nothing. Lead an entire nation through a desert. Knock down a giant with a single stone. Think about David, man. His confidence was amazing. His faith. Fulfill his purpose for your life. Let's believe that in us, through us, in spite of us. With God, all things are possible. Matthew 19:26. In spite of us. I don't know if you read my meme yesterday that said, never did God say, oh my gosh. Never did God panic say, oh my gosh, she's ruined everything. Or he's ruined everything. They've ruined everything. That doesn't happen. He's already laid the steps for you. He already knows. I'm going to end with this, okay? Good news for your heart. Nothing is impossible for you, because all things are possible for the God who lives in you. There's no obstacle too great, no wall too high, no valley too low. You can get through it, over it, beyond it together. With Him, you have more than enough. You have everything you need, and you're everything you need to be for His purposes to prevail in your life. You don't need more. You don't need to be more. You don't need to say more. You don't need to have more. You already have it. Just surrender it to Him and He will use it for everything He needs it to be. He will grow it. You can do everything through Him. I love you guys. I'm proud of you. Have a good day.